In the village of Achlo, Ken was born into suffering, where hunger was a god and poverty ruled like a merciless king. His people, once proud, had become beggars, their dreams buried beneath the weight of misfortune. He could no longer bear the sight of children starving, of elders fading away with no hope. He swore to change their fate, even if it meant selling his soul. Desperation led him to the Brotherhood of the Black Moon, an ancient cult that whispered promises of boundless wealth. But wealth, they warned, was not free. The price. His body. In a ritual drenched in shadows and chanting, Ken sacrificed his manhood and one of his kidneys, spiritually. It was an otherworldly pain, felt deep within his soul rather than his flesh. Yet, as the spiritual parts of him were taken, his fortune grew. Gold poured into his hands like rivers. His name became a song on every tongue. He built roads where there was dust, hospitals where death had once reigned, and schools where ignorance thrived. His people worshipped him, calling him their savior. But the Brotherhood was never done taking. One night, they stood before him in cloaks darker than the night, their voices as cold as the grave. "Your flesh is no longer enough," they whispered. "For your wealth to continue, blood must spill from your own people." Ken's heart pounded. He had given them his manhood and his kidney, spiritually, but he had never taken a life. Now, they demanded that he become a monster. He refused. The Brotherhood's wrath came like a storm. His mind shattered like glass. He became a prisoner in his own body, tormented by voices that laughed and screamed in his head. He staggered through the streets he had built, babbling, howling, lost in a world no one else could see. The same people who once bowed before him, now make jest of him and chased him from their homes. The hands that had lifted them from poverty were now filthy in their eyes. Alone and broken, Ken became a wandering ghost, abandoned by the ones he had bled for. But destiny was not finished with him. Half dead, he collapsed at the doorstep of Reverend Father Michael, a priest of unshakable faith. The priest took him in, praying day and night, battling the darkness that had swallowed his soul. Weeks passed. And then, one fateful night, the chains of madness shattered. Ken awoke, free. But with freedom came pain. The priest told him everything, how his people had mocked him, how they had laughed at his suffering, how they had cast him away without a second thought. He had given them his body, his soul, his future, yet, in his moment of need, they had thrown him away like that. Tears burned down Ken's face. That day, he made his final sacrifice. With a heart full of remorse, Ken gave out all his wealth to charity, ensuring the poor and the helpless benefited from his past mistakes. Then, with nothing but his faith and the lessons of his suffering, he moved into exile seeking solitude and redemption for their souls.